Hope everyone's doing all right. Today, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to give my first impressions on the Contax G2. So I picked this camera up about a month ago. I've been shooting with it. I developed a couple of rolls of film from it and have started to kind of get a feel for the camera. So I just wanted to give a few thoughts, some things I liked, some things I've learned, and yeah. So, the first thing I noticed immediately upon receiving this camera is how solid it is. I believe it's a titanium body, and it's an incredibly nice camera to hold. It's got a good weight to it, and I mean, it's well built. So right here, you'll see there's this like rubber synthetic kind of grippy material, and when I first got the camera, this was starting to deteriorate a bit. So it was leaving residue and it was kind of tacky and sticky. And after a bit of research, I found out that this is an easy fix. And what I did to do that is I went to Ace Hardware and picked up some of those Armor All wipes. And the same kind that you'd use to maybe clean the dashboard in your car. I wiped down the rubber and let it dry for probably an hour or two, and then it fixed it. I mean, it's not tacky anymore, and it adds a layer of UV protection to the rubber, so very effective. The thing I love about this camera is how simple it is. Everything you need and nothing you don't. And you've got on-off, you've got your aperture on the lens, you've got your shutter speed, your exposure compensation, your focus button, and then your drive mode. You can change your ISO or film speed, and that's it. There's really nothing else to it. It's a very well thought out camera. You can tell that they put effort into kind of paring it down to the bare essentials and nothing more. Now, this is an automatic camera that you can also use fully manual, and I do appreciate that about it, because sometimes if I just want to shoot and don't really want to think about anything, it's nice to be able to kick it into auto mode. When I'm doing street photography, I of course like to use it fully manual, and that's very simple too. So it's nice to have that functionality, and I've enjoyed using it in that manner. The one thing that I was concerned about, that I'd read about a bit and wasn't sure of when I got the unit, was the focus. So this is an autofocus camera that also has manual focus, and you choose with this dial right here. And then manual focus, which you adjust using this wheel right here. It's not on the lens, it's on the camera body. And then you can see your corresponding focus zone right here. So at first I was a little confused as to how that worked and if it'd be effective. And I was using autofocus with mixed results, so I was a little worried. I did some digging and found a couple of forums online though, where they said look in the instruction manual for the camera, and there was a focus scale with all of the zones for this particular lens. So once I had my zones, I spent a couple of days memorizing the zones for this lens, and of course it's in meters instead of feet. So that was threw me for a loop at first. I had to refamiliarize myself with meter distancing, but after I got the zones down, it was a pleasure to manual focus. You can just set your zone and then you're ready to go. The other thing that a lot of people complain about this camera, and that I was pretty unsure of, is it always returns focus to infinity. So before you take a shot, you have to refocus, right? So you press the button and you have to refocus the lens. I thought at first that this was just very cumbersome and it was slowing down the shooting process. And then I figured out you set your focus beforehand and then you can just pre-focus, and now I'm ready to shoot. So for example, right now I'm at 1.5 meters. I would just set my focus, and then anything within, I think, 0.85 or 2.0 meters is in focus right now, and I can just take the picture super easy. So once I figured that out, that was fantastic. I want to talk a little bit about auto exposure. This camera uses a center weighted averaging auto exposure, and it really produces some beautiful results. It's aperture priority, I believe, and the center weighted average has worked flawlessly for me so far, even in some difficult lighting conditions. So I was very happy with that. The lens, incredibly sharp, and renders color really nicely. And just all around great shooting experience with this camera. I love the way the shutter sounds. I love how the camera feels in my hand. It's not too heavy that you can't just throw it on when you go out the door, but it also feels substantial and well built. A little window for the film here. To open the film, you just pull that and then open the back. It's super easy to load. It auto winds and auto unwinds or rewinds the film. So when you're done shooting the roll, it'll rewind the film back into the canister for you. And when you're reloading the roll, you just pull it out, close the back, and you're good to go. The disadvantage to that is you can't squeeze the extra shot. That the old journalist photographer trick of squeeze the extra shot out of the roll. You can't do that with this camera. But, you know, I'm not terribly disappointed in that because the auto loading is very nice. I'm shooting with a 35mm lens. I believe there's 21, a 28, 35, a 45, and then a 90 offered for this camera. Down the line, I might be interested in picking up one of those and playing around, but I'm very happy with the 35 right now, and no complaints. There's also a couple of flash units that work with this camera and work with the auto exposure mode. Down the line, I definitely think I might pick at least one of those units up. It's just directly on body flash, so you can also obviously get a cable mount and use it off body, but I do like the look of that flash. I think it would be cool to play around with, so down the line I would expect to maybe pick one of those up. All in all though, super happy with this. Very, very pleased with my purchase, and yeah, I'm just excited to learn more about this thing over the coming years. Now, there is a known thing about this camera that it can brick on you. Essentially, there's people that have used these cameras for 20 years and they've never had an issue, and then there's some people that they've shot and the camera has turned into essentially a paperweight. So I really hope that that is not a characteristic of this particular camera body, because I would love this to be one of those 20-year experiences. But that's the risk you run when you buy an electronic camera, where all of your camera settings are not manual. So yeah. Other than that though, Contax made a really amazing camera with the G2, and I'm very happy with it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and it's really all I wanted to talk about. And I'll talk to you next time.